You are tuned into the Now Morning Show right here on TTT. It's a marvelous Monday morning, and we do hope that your day is going marvelous so far. And if not, I hope I could put at least one smile on one face this morning and continue having a great day. All right, so September is World Alzheimer's Month, an international campaign to raise awareness of dementia and challenge the stigma of Alzheimer's. This year's theme is Let's Talk About Dementia, which implies that dementia mustn't be forgotten when we consider that COVID-19 is on everyone's lips throughout the world. During this month, we would like to focus on public awareness of the disease and the association as it celebrates its 20th anniversary this year. So I want to say good morning to Michelle Clavery, who is the VP of the Alzheimer's Association of Trinidad and Tobago.
Good morning, Carrie, and thank you for having us.
Thank you for joining us this morning. So, Alzheimer's, first off, give me a description of what the disease is.
Well, I can tell you first off that it's not just forgetfulness. Forgetfulness happens to many of us at different points in our lives and so on. And so we ought not to be confusing it with that. However, when we get certain kinds of behaviors with the forgetfulness, then, and those behaviors which mirror things like putting items in strange places. My father had the disease, and he would put things that are not for the refrigerator into the refrigerator. He would take the groceries that we bought and put them in the garbage, things like that. And so when you see those peculiar behaviors, and when your loved one, if you may, says things like, don't mind me asking you this another time, tell me, tell me again what you just said to me. When you see behaviors like that, then it's the time to start to get your loved one tested, checked. And so we ought not to assume too many things. The better thing to do would be to get to a doctor who would be able to better, describe symptoms and so on.
Now, are there early signs that one can look out for when it comes to Alzheimer's in the younger years rather than at the advanced stage that you may have described just now?
Well, we don't want to get neurotic, so to speak. But some of those symptoms, the things I described just a while ago, you can look for some of those, but then you don't actively set out doing it, because then you work yourself into a state of, is it Alzheimer's? Is it dementia? So if you check on those sort of behaviors, then you keep an eye out. The behaviors which tend to do peculiar things, tend to get maybe a little aggressive, and certainly the forgetfulness if you're much older. But then again, Alzheimer's is a disease that is really no respecter of age, because we have had people in their 30s having Alzheimer's. Wow. And so at the younger age, it's going to be a little difficult to say, oh my God, that's Alzheimer's. But if you notice certain peculiar behaviors, those that I've described, then you can, as I said, get yourself tested. Mm-hmm.
So say, for instance, let me just make it a little more personal. Say, for instance, I am diagnosed with Alzheimer's myself. What should I tell the people who know me, the people who love me? What should I tell them to expect?
Yes. Well, you tell them what you are experiencing. You need to, because the people who are caring for you, they need to know that you're still a person. We tend to push people with Alzheimer's and dementia in a corner and, figure that they don't hear what we are saying, they don't know what we are talking about, or they don't know that we are talking about them. The person with Alzheimer's and dementia is a person with respect and a person who has to be respected. So while the person with Alzheimer's may not be able to tell somebody, listen, I have Alzheimer's, this is what you need to do, it is up to the caregiver, the loved one, to recognize certain signs and to also understand that the person can hear you, the person can see you, and there are moments of lucidity. So you have to respect that. And it's a symbiotic relationship between caregiver and the one being cared for. Yeah?
Yeah. Now, speaking of the caregiver, what about the, it is a high pressure situation and one that would even take a lot from the caregiver itself, him or herself. What about care for the caregiver?
This is it. And this is what happens. The caregiver tends to forget himself or herself. this is why it is so important. Our association, we are campaigning to get people involved, get people in the know, knowledgeable about the disease. Because without the knowledge, for example, when I joined the association 14 years ago, I wish I'd had the information before my father passed. Okay, and so before my mother passed, actually, because she was the sole caregiver and she passed before my father. And it's because we were kind of winging it. Okay, we didn't know what we should do, but my mother had the support of my brother. Okay, I wasn't living in the same country, but I would visit every year. And so if you have that support, the caregiver needs support, and not just from family, but from friends, from even people in the workplace, because there are occasions when the caregiver may have to leave work to attend to the person with the disease. And so it is important that it's a sharing kind of thing. It's not, and this is why we are trying to reduce the stigma, because where cancer was years ago, this is where Alzheimer's is now. Long ago, people used to whisper the word cancer. They do a similar thing with Alzheimer's. And if we can reduce that stigma and people understand that, listen, the caregiver may very well be the more important of the two people, because the person who lives with the disease is living in his or her own world, and really, we may say, doesn't have a care in the world, because someone is caring for that person, but the frustration can really do harm to the caregiver. So it is important that we know, we educate ourselves, and we know how we should treat and how we should assist the caregiver.
And
Yeah?
speaking of the caregiver being assisted, what about employers of caregivers and them being
Oh
sympathetic
my
to the
gosh.
situation?
Oh my. This again, in many countries the world over. And we have had the promise of the Minister of Health to get on board with us, because this is something that has to be legislated. We have to talk about Alzheimer's in this way, because the workers, the people who care for the loved ones, they are the ones who need most of the help. And so if we can get the government involved at many levels, we would be able to better appreciate and to understand when the caregivers may seek time off, or, for whatever reason, whether it's to look after the loved one or to look after himself or herself. Yeah?
That's right. That's right. Now,
Mm-hmm.
September is, as we said, Alzheimer's Awareness Month. What is the
Yeah.
association doing to help raise awareness?
Okay, so what have we done so far? We are proud to say we had our very first ever webinar last week, Saturday. It was a huge success, even if
Congratulations.
I say so myself. Yes, we had over 100 participants who signed on for the webinar, and not just in Trinidad, but throughout the region and even in Europe. So we were very pleased with that. And out of that webinar, we know definitely we have to have some more webinars. What was very important to us is that in June, when we celebrated our 20th anniversary, June 16, we signed an MOU with the UE Roytech. That relationship is working out so far to be a wonderful one, because you see, our aims and plans revolve around educating the public, you see, around research. And so with UE Roytech on board, we are certainly going to be offering courses now on regular basis where people can get certification about the disease, knowledge about the disease, and so on and so forth. So we are very pleased with that MOU that we signed with UE Roytech. Now we continue on with our celebrations. We have what is called a launch and lunch, where we launch World Alzheimer's Month. This year, we couldn't, because of COVID, have our lunch in-house in a restaurant as we would usually do. However, we are having lunch and launch with a cause. What we are doing, we are asking people to donate to the association and donate lunches. These lunches now are going to be given to care homes and first responders. That is Alzheimer's way of giving back. So we are asking the public, donate 2 or more lunches for $50. And if you're buying a single lunch, it's $60. But we have our flyers out, and we are hoping that people have started to contribute, actually. And so that's what we do, the lunch and launch with the difference. And we are hoping, right now, we are hoping that that cause that will you know, benefit us to some extent, and also the people in Trinidad and Tobago. I want to emphasize, though, that it's a donation, because some people, even though we have sent out the flyer, we have done ads and so on, some people still think they're actually getting the lunch. No, you're not getting the lunch.
Right.
As a relative of mine said, what you need to do is to forget the lunch. You donate, but you forget the lunch, because the lunch is going to the care homes and first responders. Yeah?
Yeah, definitely. Well, with that, I want to thank you so much, Michelle, for joining us this morning, giving us this wonderful information. And before we go, how do we get into contact with the association should we need to?
Okay, what you do, you can visit our Facebook page, or you can call us at 225-8764. That's 225-8764, or 345-6549. 345-6549. And in addition, you can email us at alztrinbago@gmail.com, all lowercase, alztrinbago@gmail.com.
All right, well, Michelle, congratulations on the 20th anniversary of the Alzheimer's Association of Trinidad and Tobago. Wish you the very best for your projects going on and coming up. And again, thank you for joining us this morning.
And thank you very much for having us, Gary.
All right, take care.